Alright, the final base 6 lineup of the Faded ones are here, so let's begin, this time with the Faded 100. But first, one card of the day, that being a Lyrical Double Rare Active Lyricus Apchi, which is a grade 1 with Equipower. The skill is auto when placed on rearguard other than by unit's card ability, cost count +1, choose a normal order from your drop zone and put it to your hand. This is just pretty good for any Lyrical deck that just utilizes orders, and definitely could be seen played in many decks. And into the Tuesday stream itself, here is a Regalius piece promo, Unite the Sky, or Union in the Sky. But anyway, it's a grade 2 Blitz order, Regalius piece, remember that. And its ability is, play this by Counter Blasting 1 or Energy Blasting 3. You draw a card, remove this card, and then choose one of your Vanguards. It gets plus 15k power until the end of that battle. Then cost, find a copy of the same card name as your Vanguard from your soul or drop zone, and it gets plus 25k instead. Yeah, this skill isn't that great for a Blitz order, especially on a Regalius piece, but it can be proven useful sometimes, especially with the second skill where it could be even more useful. Auto, when discarded from hand for riding for the ride deck, cost Counter Blast 1 or Energy Blast 3 to draw a card and then remove this card. Basically, this Regalius piece has 2 uses, which is actually pretty nice. Despite its defensive ability not being too great, it at least has an extra ability that basically becomes fodder. And now to the new Blangdmire ride line. Here's the starter, Cavity Malagia. To the grade 1 with key power, Hollow Raptor, which has the skill auto when rolled upon by Fancet Fang. The grade 2, look at top 30 cards of your deck, put all grade 1 and greater cards from among them to soul. The rest goes to the bottom in the deck in any order. If you put 2 or more soul, draw a card. This is a pretty good start of soul charging, better than most decks. In which the grade 2 with 10k power Fancet Fang has the exact same skill except that you had to ride Blangdmire. If this wasn't restricted to Blangdmire, this would have been too good for pretty much any Dark State deck to run as a ride line. And now to the grade 3 with 13k power Faded 100 Blangdmire. Auto Vanguard, when this card attacks a Vanguard, cost bind 2 to 4 cards from your soul face down, aka basically permanent banishment, and draw a card. If you bound 4 or more cards, your opponent chooses 2 of their rear guards and bind them face down. And this unit gets plus 5k power for every 2 cards face down in the bind zone. So basically on your first grade 3 ride, you're already being able to bind 4 because of all the soul charge abilities, which will give it plus 10k power, along with 2 binds on your opponent, even though they get to choose, but you also get to draw. This skill isn't already too bad, although it doesn't really do much other than basically just control your opponent a bit, and a lot of power. But the bind face down will definitely be important for its future support, especially on its divine skill, which is the second skill, and this is the one that many people have to worry about and puts a lot of questions, where Auto Vanguard, at the start of the guard step at the battle that this unit attacked, if you have 8 or more face down cards in the bind zone, crit +1 until the end of turn, and if you did this, your opponent cannot call or place sentinels from hand until the end of turn. That includes Superior Guarding, from hand anyway, and then choose one of your opponent's Vanguards. It loses all its abilities into the end of your opponent's next turn. This is a pretty powerful divide skill considering that it's fitting with theme. For one, it's a guard restrict with an extra crit on top of its own skill with extra power already, and with that persona at this point would basically be 33k with a crit with a guard restrict. But also, if your opponent cannot ride next turn or even stride, basically they have a useless Vanguard. No, re-riding does nullify this in a way because Persona Ride still activates, but making your opponent needing to re-ride can be considered very powerful in some cases. Because yeah, they cannot re-ride or stride on top of it, they basically can't do anything with their Vanguard. And yes, the heart does still lose its skill, but the striding still works. Any states that you were in is still basically active, like Final Rush or Final Burst, because that's not a skill that your Vanguard has, that's a state that you're in. They do lose the ability of their drive checks since it's going to be on their opponent's Vanguard, and any abilities that they gain beforehand can also be lost. But anyway, it's overall a cool card, a bit conditional for a divine skill, especially since this is definitely a finisher divine skill, but overall pretty cool, especially since I like the bind face down concept. And finally, this card brings it back. And now to the support. Evoke Alchemist, which is a grade 1 with 8k power and discuss. Count rearguard. During the battle that this unit boosts, if you have a grade 3 or greater Blangdmire, this card gets 5k power. Once again, one of these clone grade 3s that become a 13k booster, and with the second skill where when it's behind the Vanguard, where auto rearguard, when this card boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard that is Blangdmire, this card gets plus 2k power until the end of that battle. You have 4 more cards face down the bind zone, cost Counter Blast 1, choose one of your front row rear guards and stand it. You have at least 8 plus an additional 15k power as well. Like I said, your support is going to make Blangdmire very strong. And here's one of them, giving you a restanding rearguard. Doable in the first grade 3 ride as well, because Blangdmire's skill, just use his skill to bind 4 from your soul face down, and then this already has its condition. Obvious must play. Next, Steam Rider Zamog, which is a grade 2 with thinking power and skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard, if you have at least a grade 3 Blangdmire, cost count +1, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, put any number of cards from among them into your soul, and of course shuffle your deck. If you put at least 1, draw a card. You might just say counter +1, soul charge 3. Luckily that you can pick any cards that you want to put to soul, so you could just put your triggers back, but it's just nice that it's just not random. You get to choose what cards you want to put to soul. And you get a draw on top of it if you put at least 1. So this is already really good, but the second skill makes it better. Auto rearguard. When this card attacks, if you have at least a grade 3 Blangdmire Vanguard, if this unit has 1 or less crit, aka doesn't gain 1 extra crit from anything yet, cost energy blast 3, this unit gets +5 key power and crit +1 into the end of that battle. A rearguard attack that can get crit pressure. Yep, this can be very nasty, especially when it doesn't have the condition where you need the bind face down. Sure, the 5k and crit is on 1 attack, but considering that you could restand this through evoke, being able to do this twice can be very nasty, especially if you decide to get a critical trigger right after and just give it all here. But overall, very good. Finally, 1 Strike Crush Colossus, which is a grade 3 when taking power and the skills. Auto rearguard. When this card attacks a Vanguard, if you have 4 more face down cards in the bind zone, you may have this card get 10 key power into the battle, and then at the end of the battle, put this card to soul, which of course will help with soul costs, and being a 20-30k beater is not too bad. And clearing up the field can actually have use for future purposes, but for now it doesn't. But the second skill is auto. When put to soul by your card ability, aka its own, if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Blangdmire, cost, bind this card face down to draw a card. Once again, this card might have some future use due to the fact that you can bind this card face down, which can increase your binds. For now, it's really just a beater that could just give itself an extra soul, and if you need to, draw power. Finally, these cards will be revealed during demo fights in the channel. And so that's it for this, for the Fated 1 of 0 ride line. What do you guys think of it? I was already very interested in the design from the very beginning. Grim Reaper-like design, especially the background on the card art, and now seeing its own unique style, aka binding face down, which is something that we haven't had for a long time, is just very cool. Although it doesn't do much, what I really love was the divine skill, nullifying your opponent's Vanguard, basically turning everything into nothing. Really like the theme here. And now, since all the Fated ones of the main lineup has been revealed, which one's your personal favorite and which one will you be building? I'm already going for Raziel because Raziel is its angel theme similar to Makath Malek, and now I'm building this one because Grim Reaper and I just love its design. But in that's it for this, and see you all next time.